Welcome to Camp Podcast Special Edition. I am pianist Eunmi and I serve as president of the Contemporary Art Music Project or CAMP. CAMP is an organization that promotes innovative art music and collaborates with composers and performing artists. One of many activities we do is our podcast series. Our hosts explore a wide range of topics from marginalized composers in music history to current collaborations. Please make sure that you subscribe to Camp Podcasts to enjoy different series of the podcast. Tonight, I am your host, and I am thrilled to talk with Sarah Walston, director of Atlas Modern Ballet. Atlas Modern Ballet is a professional creation based dance company focused on bringing new performance art to local audiences in Tampa Bay and beyond. Hi, Sarah, welcome, and thank you for being here with me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's exciting to collaborate with Atlas Modern Ballet for our upcoming concert on June 14 at the Palladium Theater in St. Petersburg, Florida. So we're gonna eventually talk about the collaboration and the upcoming event. But I would like to start with a question, more personal question about you. So my first question is your encounter with dance and how did you become a professional dancer?
Absolutely. So I actually started out very young. I started at age 4. My mom put me in a ballet class when I was just jumping around the house too much, essentially. And it stuck. I loved ballet from the beginning. As I grew up, I was dancing and doing other styles as well. So I'm trained in like the full range of dance genres essentially. And then once I got to like the middle of my high school years, I decided that that was the career that I really wanted to pursue. And I got really serious about even more intense ballet training and just went forward from there. After that, I went into USF and got my BFA in dance performance with a ballet concentration from USF. And then after that, I graduated, danced, have been dancing professionally for the last 8 years now, locally in Central Florida, which is rare to hear people say because I think a lot of people kind of get this bug of if they've been in Central Florida for a while as a dancer, they kind of want to go out to the other big cities that have a lot of dance. But there's actually a lot of really great dance happening in Central Florida. So I've been lucky to be able to stay and experience that.
Yeah, it's cool. I've also witnessed that, and Camp has worked with different dance companies in the past. And it's very cool that you're developing this dance culture here. So I'm sure that that's how you start this company, Atlas Modern Ballet. But I'm wondering if you had any particular motivation to start a dance company, because I think it's different from just being a dancer and teaching dance versus that you actually have to run a company.
Yes, for sure. So when I was at Jacksonville University getting my master's degree in choreography, I started to kind of get a taste of what it felt like more to be that person that was in charge of a long term project because developing my thesis work, of course, that was a long period of time that I had to work with a set group of dancers. And while I had choreographed in the past on professionals as well, that had been a more condensed period of time that I had been sort of in charge of what was happening. So it kind of gave me a taste of what it would be like to have my own company and to sort of put my voice and my perspective on contemporary dance and ballet out in the world. And I think it just kind of really sparked that hunger for me even more. It was something that I always was interested in for sure. But yeah, I think after I completed that degree, I was pretty motivated to move forward with that.
Cool. Yeah. I assume it's probably a different path to belong to a big ballet company and dance all the traditional repertoire. And then there's also going to this path of creating new movements and um, dancing something that's called modern or contemporary.
Yes, for sure. The training and the setup of going into a large ballet company is very strict, very different, but there's also kind of a laid out expected pathway for those dancers. So they know going in that they probably want to do summer intensives at select companies and start getting to know the companies that they want to try to go into. And it's definitely a different type of training. Some of those dancers will go even straight from high school into a company and start at, the corps de ballet, or if they're not even at that, at an apprentice type of level. Versus if you have dancers that are a little more interested in a contemporary type of creation based smaller company, a lot of them have come from university programs or other training programs that has kind of sparked an interest in being a part of that creation type of process. So they're looking for that and looking for that more intimate community usually.
Yeah, and I assume that that was your interest to kind of begin with.
Yeah, I had a mixed split really. I
Mm.
was not necessarily super interested in going into a large ballet company. But when I first graduated from USF, I actually auditioned for some bigger name companies, if you will, that are well known, not necessarily large companies, but auditions where there were more than 200 people at the audition. Um, and it's funny that, yeah, I did end up in my first company was a company called Florida Dance Theater based out of Lakeland, Florida. And it's a very small company. And it's not what I expected at all myself going into, but it just really fit me really well because it felt like a tight community.
Cool. Yeah. Maybe you could share the whole history of the Atlas Modern Ballet when you started and how it has been.
Yeah. So we started this past summer. So we're almost at a year now. And it was just like I said, I had finished my master's degree and I was like, okay, what's the next step now? Where am I going from here? I knew that I wanted to continue to teach in a college setting, which I had done before and I'm still doing now, which is great. But I knew that I also really wanted to dance still and wanted to create on that high level professional dancer and share it through my own perspective. And so I was like, okay, this is the time to really buckle down. I know I'm about to learn a lot going into this from a business perspective, but it was really, yeah, it was kind of a straight green light go. Once I decided to do it, it was a really fast assembly. I was lucky to have several dancers that I knew and I've worked with on other projects immediately want to be a part of it with me before anything had even been set of what we were going to do in our first season. So that was great. I started with four of us, and then I was able to hold an audition in August. And I had other dancers, some that I had known, a lot that I didn't know, just come, and it was nice to see that interest. And from there we started like with no hesitation. And we had our first show in the beginning of the fall, which was Ghost in the Black Jacket, which was also a very new type of experience for me because it was the first time I had created a full evening length work. Up till that, the longest thing I had created was my thesis work, was just over 20 minutes long. So that was definitely a new experience, but it was great, and that a great group of dancers on that project, and most of them have rolled over into the next two projects we've done, unless they've moved. We've had a few of them move and that kind of thing, but otherwise, we've actually gained 2 to 3 dancers per project. So it's been really nice that we've grown throughout the season.
Great. Yeah. I remember the first show, and it was great. Very intimate setting, and it was really well attended.
Thank you. Yeah, it was one of those things that was like, all right, here we go. We're kicking it off. We hope that people are able to come and kind of see what we're doing, what we're trying to bring to the area. And it seems like the momentum has continued to roll over each show. We're getting more and more people interested in how they can help the organization. So, yeah, it's been really wonderful.
That's great. Yeah. How many dancers you have in the company?
And currently we have 10, including myself.
Mhm.
So for Night Doves, we'll have 10 dancers in the project. And yeah, like I said, I think we had 7 or 8 in the first show, and then it was 9 for Lumen, and now we have 10. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. How it's been running this organization in the community, Tampa Bay community, and collaborating with others. I know that you have connection with other dance companies and many dancers here in the area, but also just it's not easy to run arts organization these days.
absolutely. It's been a huge learning process for me. Going into this, I knew that I had actually a really good handle on the how to do the artistic side of what I'm doing now, running Atlas, and how to create choreography, even how to put a show together and run that creative side has gone really smoothly. But learning kind of the business side, learning the process of how to build a nonprofit organization has all been completely new. So that has definitely been like, I would say, the biggest challenge so far, but it's been a great learning process for sure.
Yeah, you get a lot of support from the community. You feel like.
Yeah, I feel like through, like I said, through the shows, we've been able to meet a lot of people. And like you said, I have a lot of connections with
Mhm.
other companies that have been around locally for a bit longer. And I've been lucky that they've invited some of their audiences to our shows and have even invited us to perform other places and bring our works other places. So we've kind of gained our own following throughout the season and support of people not only in Tampa, kind of in Central Florida. So that's been great and not something I really expected to the extent we've achieved this first year, I would say.
Yeah, great. I mean, we're really excited to be partnered for this project, and yeah, I'm glad it happens through this Palladium Creative Class project.
Yes, absolutely. We're so looking forward to it. Every time we have rehearsals, we're talking about how great it's going to be to perform with live music and perform to, this great selection of new music that you've essentially curated for this show. It's something so special to a dancer to perform to live music. It just kind of it does something different. I think it definitely does for me, and I can see it on other dancers. So that aspect is going to be so great.
Yeah, yeah, it's really exciting. So I think we can keep talking about the event that we are gonna have together. So it's called Night Doves, and there's this kind of narrative behind this show. It's about a little bit longer than an hour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, if you can share that with us, the inspiration to create this show, and also just your work process with this project?
Absolutely. So Night Doves, the title and the project itself is very driven from the idea um, of a dreaming kind of surreal combination with subconscious and memories. So there's a lot of different layers to it. Um, I think the interest in the surreal and the dream kind of dreamscape land came from when I started my thesis work. I was looking at surreal visual arts methods and combining that with dance. So that kind of interest is always, it's still there. As deep as I went at that time with it, it's still there. And I think it lends itself to a really interesting creative choreographic process with the dancers because we get to look at traditional ballet shapes and traditional ways of making and kind of take it apart into new methods, which is interesting for them, I think, as a process rather than just feeling like they're repeating shapes and steps that they've known and done extensively. Um, so that's been kind of the jumping off point. And as we dive deeper and deeper through the different pieces, it seems like each piece has kind of its own atmosphere rather than kind of a titled separate thing, but they shift in and out of each other in a really fluid way. So I think it'll be interesting to see it with all the elements together, with the music and with the lights and projections and everything put together. Hopefully it feels sort of like this waking dream that keeps evolving for the audience is kind of what I'm hoping to achieve.
Cool. Yeah. Um, yeah. I try to select music that would work with this narrative, and also a lot of music that I selected use um, um, the material that's um, comes back. And also from traditional repertoire too. Some of the music use that, so it kind of goes with the choreography. But any thoughts about the music? I think it's really has wide variety of sounds.
Yes, absolutely, which is wonderful because for me as a choreographer, there's always this sort of kind of like movement language that's natural to my body that I'll kind of get in the flow. And then you have to kind of take a step back and make sure that the variety amongst the pieces when you're doing a full show like this really a shows the range of the dancers because I'm lucky enough to have a group of dancers with an extraordinary range. And B also can feel like it's different types of experiences for the audience, that it doesn't feel like one long idea essentially. So having all the different kinds of music with the different tone and even the different instrumentation is really helpful with that.
Yeah, we are featuring some electronic music, so that will go with some images. So that will be interesting. We have some solo piano pieces, duets with piano and saxophone, and then trio with piano, saxophone, and percussion. Also, we have a duet for viola and piano. So I think audience will hear a lot of different colors from music, and also it will go with different movements. So it's whole experience with sounds and um, visual or and visual experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, do you have any ideas what audience should expect from this show, or what can they take with them from the show?
I definitely would love for them to come in kind of with a very open mind, knowing that, yes, it's based on dreams and surrealism and that subconscious layer and even memory all together, and kind of see how they connect their own personal experiences with that as much as possible, and how they weave their own narrative, their own experiences into that, because it's always really interesting for me after the show to talk to people and hear what they took from it, how they see their own experience, how they found something very different they didn't expect. So I'm really hoping to get a variety of those types of responses from the show. Yeah, I think that would be the goal, is for everyone to kind of find their own takeaway and really have it be as much as their own design as it was ours, really.
Mhm. Yeah, great. I think we can talk about one of the piece that's on the program, and then eventually we're gonna listen to the piece. So you wanted to talk about this piece for percussion, piano, and saxophone trio. It's called Power Trio by composer Alex Bertzos. So yeah, what did you think of the music when you when you heard that first time?
I was really excited about all of the different kind of layers and tones that it had. I love that it had kind of like, you know, the jazziness that comes with the percussion of it, but which the piece for us is a sextet of partners. So it's three women and three men, and it's a work that's on point for the women with a lot of partnering work. So while we go in and out of the kind of like fast partnering work with a lot of pattern changes, that I'm trying to sort of mimic the way the music is happening visually in that, really making kind of patterns across the stage. Um, it also has a lot of adagio quality moments, which allow me to pull out, like I said, some of the strengths of the dancers and kind of marry it to the tone of what's happening, which also allows me to push them, which is nice. It's always nice to kind of be challenged. The different yeah, the different tones of the piece have really allowed me to ask some pretty hard things of them
Mhm.
choreographically and physically. And I think they really appreciate that, because it's just a growth as well as them developing their artistry at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. That's I can't wait. I mean, it's gonna be really cool. Well, the show is June 14th, Wednesday, at the Palladium Theater in St. P. And I think you can buy tickets on the Palladium website, which is mypalladium.org. And you can find it in the show notes of this podcast, and also it's on the website of the Atlas Modern Ballet and camp, obviously. So yeah, I can't wait. Really, I'm so excited about this project.
Yeah, we are as well.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of the collaboration with camp and Night Doves concert?
It's just been such a wonderful experience so far to work with you. And like I said, I'm looking forward to so much having that experience on stage and sharing it with the dancers and sharing it with the audience. So, hoping to get as great of an audience as we can to experience this with us.
Great, thank you. And I think we'll wrap this up by listening to the Power Trio by composer Alex Berzos.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Support us by donating. You can go to our website www.contemporaryartmusicproject.org and simply click the donate button. Help us continue our podcast festival and other exciting projects. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time with more music.